Mare Synchronos is officially gone. Square Enix has pulled the plug, sending shockwaves through the Final Fantasy XIV community. Some players are calling it the end of an era, while others say it's a much-needed reset. But what was Mare? Why did it get shut down? And what does it mean for the game going forward? Let's break it down. Mare Synchronos was a third-party tool that allowed players to synchronize their modded character across clients. Without it, modifications were only visible to you on your own computer. But with Mare installed, anyone using it would be able to see the same custom outfits, hairstyle, and even body modifications that you saw. For many role players and venue organizers, Mare became an essential part of immersion. It acted as a bridge between private modifications and shared community experiences, something that the base game does not support. On August 21st, 2025, the lead developer of Mare Synchronos announced that they had received a legal inquiry from Square Enix. Shortly after, Mare's GitHub repositories were taken offline, new registrations were locked, and its servers were scheduled for shutdown. One important detail came out as well. The developer had used their real name and address in their code comments. That made legal action by Square Enix very straightforward. Square Enix has always said that third-party tools are not allowed, but with Mare's developer so easily identified, the company finally had a clear path to enforce that rule. Square Enix had several reasons to act now. The first is very simple. All third-party tools are prohibited under the terms of service, even ones that only change appearances. The second is security. Mare Synchronos is operated on centralized servers outside Square Enix's control. That setup posed risks, including the possibility of remote exploits if someone bad ever gained access. The third reason is context. Earlier this year, Square Enix cracked down after the player scope controversy, when it warned players that stricter enforcement is on the way. Mare became one of the biggest and most visible targets. And then there is speculation. Some outlets and fans believe the timing could be tied to Final Fantasy XIV's expansion onto new platforms, including the highly rumored Nintendo Switch 2. There's no official statement that connects the two events, but Square Enix has confirmed that talks with Nintendo about bringing the game to new hardware has been going well. So whether this move was strictly about security and terms of service, or about preparing for future platforms, the message is clear. Square Enix is serious about shutting down high-profile tools. There's one side of Mare that most people are not talking about. Mare Synchronos was not just a cosmetic sync tool, it actually linked your Lodestone profile directly to its central server. That meant the developer potentially had access to your public Final Fantasy XIV profile, your character history, and even your connections to other players. In other words, it was not just sharing your glamour, it was acting as a kind of social data bridge. A player on Reddit even asked the question, what would stop the developer from reporting users directly to Square Enix for using a third-party tool? Even if you trust the developer, the system concentrated a lot of personal data in the hands of a single individual. One mistake, one bad actor, or one server breach could expose thousands of players. This hidden identity and trust issue is why many argue the shutdown was not only inevitable, but also necessary. The community has been split. On the negative side, role players and social players saw Mare Synchronos as the cornerstone of the community. Without it, venues feel emptier, immersion is weaker, and there's a real worry that the roleplay scene will feel fragmented into smaller, less concentrated groups. On the positive side, critics argue that Mare lowered the quality of roleplay writing. With visuals synced, people stopped describing their characters and relied on mods instead. Some players also complained that Mare encouraged gatekeeping, where others refused to roleplay with anyone that did not use the tool. And of course, many welcomed the shutdown simply because central servers posed a genuine risk. For some, this is a loss of a vital community tool. For others, it is relief, a chance to return to a more inclusive, descriptive roleplay. So what happens now? Alternatives like Mare Synchronos have already existed. They come with their own baggage and mixed reputations. Developers and communities are likely to fork Mare's code privately, creating small invite-only networks instead of one large public server. In the short term, the role-playing scene will feel fragmented and unsettled. In the long term, many players will expect another solution to rise, though it will most certainly be less centralized and less visible. The Final Fantasy XIV role-playing community has always been resilient, and there's little doubt it will adapt again. Square Enix's stance has always been consistent. Third-party tools are not allowed. Mare Synchronos shutdown was both inevitable and symbolic. It marked the remove of one of the most high-profile modifications in the game's history. Was it good or bad? That depends on your perspective. For role-playing communities, it was a major setback. For Square Enix, it was a necessary step to protect the game and prepare for future platforms. And for players who never touched Mare, life simply goes on unchanged. In the end, Mare Synchronos' legacy is complicated. It connected people but also divided them. Now the community faces another choice: adapt, rebuild, or return to its roots of roleplay. What do you think? Was Mare Synchronos a blessing for the community, or was its removal the right call? Share your thoughts below. I'll be watching the discussion. If you want more deep dives on Final Fantasy XIV's biggest story, I'll see you in the next video.